All right, mic check, mic check. We are live. What's going on, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Conscious Approach series. Watching on YouTube, certainly appreciate it. My name is JV Wins, joined as usual by my homeboy Dogon SS to get into this week's garden variety of social commentary. Before we get into this week's topics, as always, I kind of want to say that if you're watching this video on the YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you like the video. Comment on the video as well. We've been getting some pretty good traction on the channel, man, and we're growing this thing organically. So we first off want to say thank you to those who have subscribed to the channel. We are growing slowly but surely. We're getting there. And to those who might come across this video and you haven't subscribed to the channel, stick around and see what we all about. We do this every week. We do this every Tuesday. And then we, post videos throughout the week for anyone who wants the opportunity to catch up. So just wanted to put that out there. Like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Share, everything. So with that out of the way, we are going to get into Ye, because Ye is on fire this week. Kanye West, per usual, is a content factory. And he is making headlines because at a fashion show in Paris, orchestrated by himself, he wore a T-shirt that was pretty controversial. The T-shirt had the expression "White Lives Matter" on across the back of the shirt. Said "White Lives Matter." Naturally, that has a lot of people in an uproar. And so let me go ahead and share this so that we can get anybody up to speed who might not be abreast of the situation. So this particular article is from page 6, and it says Kanye West wears White Lives Matter shirt at surprise Yeezy show. Kanye West is making a statement. The rapper staged a surprise Yeezy fashion show on Monday in Paris, showcasing his Season 9 collection to much fanfare. Before the models appeared, West gave a speech while wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt emblazoned with the Pope's face on the front and the same bedazzled flip-flops he sported last week. Quote, "I am Ye, and everyone here knows that I am the leader," he said at one point, referencing his new legal name. "You can't manage me." And naturally this got people kind of feeling some type of way. Quote, "Sending a White Lives Matter t-shirt down a runway in Paris is literal insanity, and no amount of gospel is getting that man through heaven's gate. I'm so sorry," one person tweeted. Another wrote, "Mind you, Kanye was just calling him and Chris the KK. Mind you, Kanye was just calling Kim and Chris the KKK 2 weeks ago, and now he's wearing a White Lives Matter shirt." So it should come as no shock that people don't appreciate Kanye wearing such a shirt. Now, Kanye somewhat responded to what he was doing. So we're going to go ahead and play what he said in response to the backlash that he's incurred. Anyone who knows Kanye West is very aware of the fact that he does not care about backlash in any kind of way. As a matter of fact, one would argue he kind of welcomes it. So this article is from the New York Post, and it says Kanye West calls Black Lives Matter a scam amid White Lives Matter shirt uproar. Jesus ain't walking back this controversial fashion statement. Despite fierce backlash from black celebrities, including a walkout from Jaden Smith, Kanye Ye West is not apologizing for his controversial White Lives Matter attire during Paris Fashion Week in France. In fact, the 45-year-old rapper recently doubled down on his criticism of Black Lives Matter in a Tuesday Instagram post. Quote, "Everyone knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam," he declared, seemingly referencing the group's multiple multi-million-dollar scandals. "Now it's over. You're welcome." So that was, I don't really know if he addressed the backlash, but those were the comments that he made. Much like, Kanye likes to do, that was kind of a cryptic response that really didn't address specifically what people would like for him to address. I just wanted to point out some of the public figures who did say something in response to what Kanye had to say. This was from Jaden Smith. Quote, I had to dip, LOL, tweeted Jaden after walking out of West Fashion Show in protest. He continued his criticism in a series of follow up tweets. Quote, true leaders lead. I don't care whose it is. If I don't feel the message, I'm out. Black Lives Matter. We demand a more progressive future. And then this was from Mark Lamont Hill. Quote, Kanye West's decision to wear a White Lives Matter shirt is disgusting, dangerous, and irresponsible. Mark Lamont Hill fumed on Twitter. Some of y'all will rush to defend him. You should ask yourselves why. So, I'm pretty sure there are going to be more discussion that comes from this, but the immediate aftermath is outrage. Outrage on behalf of those who feel as though it is entirely inappropriate to address your feelings about Black Lives Matter by equating it with making the expression White Lives Matter stylish. Not exactly sure what his goal is with this, but be that as it may, what do you think about what Kanye is doing with this whole White Lives Matter thing? The streets are on fire about this.
Yeah, I think more or less he's doing his typical stirring the pot stuff, being relevant, tip of people's tongue, type of behavior. Because if he did not do this and he just had a regular fashion show, it just would have been a regular Yeezy in trash bags walking down the thing. Nobody would have cared. But since he did this, it's controversy. Controversy gets him on the head of news lines. So I feel like that was angle A for sure. He knew he was going to ruffle feathers with that, and mission accomplished. All right. The other thing with Kanye is that he definitely thinks outside the box, but he has these radical ways of trying to wake black people up, with the Trump hat, um, with the slavery was a choice line, and now this.
Yeah.
Each one of those, Kanye, I believe, is actually trying to help black people. I
In his
realize he's,
mind. In
yeah,
his mind. Yeah.
in his mind, he's trying to help black people by trying to challenge them to think another way. If you take it for its surface level, um, response, then at that point you're going to get lost in the message that he's trying to deliver. That's me personally. That's what I think. And so, I think what Kanye attempted to do, and especially from his response, was that, well, Black Lives Matter is a scam. And so, I'll delve more into and what I think he means by other things, but that was his take home from this. Now, when you say Black Lives Matter, to any black person, well, I won't say any, many black people, they associate that with not the organization. They don't think about the organization when you say Black Lives Matter. It's not just a hashtag for some people, for most people. It's a way of life that Black lives do matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's attacking that in some people, that's what ruffles those people's feathers, and they don't enjoy that. Kanye, I think his initial thing was to challenge the organization and the politics behind that organization, and just trying to be different in that regard. So I don't think, for those black people that got offended by this, I don't think he tried to offend you like that per se. He may have, but that's not his initial type of reaction to that. So I've got more to say, but how do you feel about this initially?
Yeah. So when I was in college, I used to play basketball with this kid. Um, I'm not going to say his full name. His initials were BB. He was a cool kid, a white kid. Not that it's irrelevant to this analogy, but we used to hoop every day, and eventually, hanging around each other on a daily basis because we used to be in there hooping together a lot. He pretty much kind of learned about me that I'm one of those people who doesn't mind engaging in critical conversations. Like, he gravitated towards me because I guess, in terms of the basketball court, he found a kindred spirit in someone else who likes to have deep intellectual conversations. So, while through, when he and I would, be hooping, in between games or when we were done hooping, but we were just kind of in the gym having conversations, we would talk about various subject matters, nondescript stuff, nothing that was
Mhm.
particularly specific. And, one thing that I noticed about him was he was someone who just had a natural propensity for challenging truth. So, you know, he would argue with you that the sky was blue. He'd say, no, it's not. And I would say, well, okay, if you don't believe the sky is blue, then what is it? And, his response would always be something that was very metaphysical. Like, I don't know what it is, but I know it's not blue. The only reason why you think it's blue is because it's been impressed upon you that that particular color is blue. And so, because your eyes are looking at something that appears to be blue, you believe the sky is blue. The point is, he was a contrarian by nature. He enjoyed challenging things that are conventionally agreed upon as truth.
Mhm.
And so the reason why I bring him up is because I think to a certain degree, Kanye West, or Ye, as he likes to be called these days, is a contrarian by nature. By nature. And it's very important that you understand that because people who are contrarians by nature, even if something is universal truth, they're going to kick it back to you in a way which suggests that you might want to think you might want to give second thoughts to how much you believe that this thing is actual truth or not. So
Mhm.
people like this will argue with you that 2 plus 2 isn't 4, it's actually 7. They'll argue with you that money isn't real. They'll argue with you that water isn't wet. Things that are universal truth. People who are natural contrarians just like to challenge the conventional wisdom just because they believe that it is one of their charges in life to, as you said in your opening remarks, challenge you to think out the box. The only problem with being a contrarian to that effect is you can only be a contrarian when you are challenging notions of conventional wisdom that are rooted in subjectivity. That's when you can be most effective as a contrarian. And oftentimes, what people like Kanye do is they try to challenge the conventional wisdom within the context of them being a contrarian, not against things that are subjective, but against things that are objective. And even if they are trying to do it with things that are are subjective, therefore meriting the continued conversation because it's a subjective subject matter, they tend to not do it as effectively as they thought they did. See Kyrie Irving.
Mhm.
Kyrie Irving thought that he was being a contrarian when it came to not getting vaccinated, and the only reason why what he was doing didn't make sense was because of the words that he used. He said, um, I don't have a problem with vaccines, but I want to be a voice for the voiceless and speak up for those who are uncomfortable with mandates." Is essentially what Kyrie Irving was doing. So he was challenging the conventional notion that one should get vaccinated because it must be the right thing to do. Now, if that's what you like to do, I have no problem with that. However, where you run into problems with me is with the rationale that you use. And I kind of couldn't understand where Kyrie was coming from because he said, "I speak up and I'm a voice for the voiceless." When said voiceless people do not have the leeway to not get vaccinated if their livelihood is being put at risk for not getting vaccinated. So it just makes you seem like you're tone deaf and don't actually know what you're talking about. And you can't be a contrarian when people perceive you to be an individual who doesn't know what they're talking about. So the reason why I bring that back to Kanye is because I believe that what you said about him perhaps challenging the organization, but not necessarily the sentiment behind Black Lives Matter, I think that that could be very true. I think that in his mind, that could perhaps have been what he was doing. But I think what rubbed people the wrong way is the fact that he did it in such a way as to equate white lives with black lives in that capacity. And I think that's what pissed people off, because essentially what people are saying is, you wearing that shirt means that you're suggesting that the suffrage of, not suffrage, means that, you're suggesting that the general plight of black people historically is the same as the general plight of white people. And I'm speculating that that's how people perceive what he did. I'm not saying I saw that, but I'm speculating that that's what people perceive, that that's what he was doing. And you're just not going to get very far with that, because from an objective standpoint, just, factually, historically, that is categorically false. There's no sensible way to suggest that black people have endured systemically in America historically what white people have. You can't make that case. And so to go at the symbolism behind Black Lives Matter by making it equitable to the idea that white lives also matter, given everything that I just outlined, is simply going to rub people the wrong way. Now, I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with what he did. I'm just trying to express the logic behind it, because I do kind of tend to think that Kanye was. I do think that that's what Kanye was getting at. Was, I think he was looking at it politically, infrastructurally, in
Mhm.
terms of the organization. But an individual who is as smart as he claims to be, who is as perceptive as he claims to be,
Mhm.
should know how others are going to take the statement that comes from wearing a shirt like that. And so
Yeah.
maybe there's a more tactful way to go about getting your message across. But people like him, he just kind of doesn't see it that way. He says, well, I'm going to do it in the way that I know how to do it, because again, you're going to have to get on my plane of existence to understand the way that I do things. And if you're not on my plane of existence, then you're just going to get left behind because you simply just don't get it. So, I do think that there is a portion of this on behalf of Kanye that is rooted in his extreme narcissism, because he just doesn't feel the need to take how other people are going to perceive his message into account. His whole thing is, you need to see it the way I'm putting it out there. And if you can't get it, then you just don't get it and you're not smart enough. I don't know that that's the best way to um I don't know that that's the best way to ingratiate yourself to people whom you claim should be listening to you. But be that as it may, also don't think that he was um I don't think that he was overtly trying to suggest white lives matter the way black lives matter do. So I do agree with that. Once again, Kyrie Irving syndrome, Ye syndrome. I kind of just feel like he didn't necessarily go about it in the most strategic way. But hey, it is what it is. In Kanye's world, Kanye does what Kanye wants. And it's up to you to properly interpret what it is that he's trying to say.
Yeah, well said. But and I think what Kanye. So here's my thing with what I think he's doing, and I could be wrong, but I I have a pretty good beat on what Kanye's doing and why he does it. At least in my world, I do. And this, like I said, it ruffled people's feathers the way he wanted it to. If he sat down and he had an interview where he explained himself from point A to Z, um, a lot of people would agree with him. A lot of people that were upset that he did this, I think. But he doesn't do A to Z explanations, as you said. You just have to understand where I'm at, with my logic kind of thing. But here's my thing with Black Lives Matter: the hashtag of it, the word, the phrase. Me personally, I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the phrase. I don't like what it's become. Um, and here's why. So the same people that are up in arms about Black Lives Matter, they go patronize white people. They literally go, as soon as they put their hashtag in on somebody else's phone, on somebody else's app, wearing somebody else's clothes, they're gonna go to somebody else's gas station, buy somebody else's snacks, go to somebody else's grocery store, buy somebody else's food, brush their teeth with somebody else's toothpaste. All right. Wipe their behinds with somebody else's toilet paper. and then holler hashtag Black Lives Matter. So if Black lives really mattered, would you be would you always put other people first as you do? I would holler no. If you really thought that Black lives really mattered as the core sense of what I think that should mean, then you would be taking the initiative to actually put Black people first at all costs. But they don't do that. So it's just a hashtag. It's just avatar for most of those people. And I'm not saying everybody, because I'm pretty sure people, hey, I support Black wherever I can. And that's great. But most people don't take the time out to do such a thing. So to me, it's ironic that the same people that are up in arms are on somebody else's device, using somebody else's Wi-Fi, using somebody else's whatever to air their grievances with Kanye. What Kanye is doing is he's building a brand for himself. He's building a legacy for himself, where most of these people that are upset should be doing themselves. So I think what he was trying to do is to tell people that, okay, well, if Black lives matter, all right, well, so do white people's, so does Mexicans, so does whatever else. All right. And I really think that people need to calm down with all the hashtag talk and really understand what it means to say Black Lives Matter. Now, the organization aspect of it is a complete farce. Um, it's a racket. I mean, it's been to me exposed on numerous occasions
Yeah,
on
I don't
how it's
think any. Yeah, I don't even think we need to really debate that at this point. Yeah,
no,
that is
it's such
absolutely correct. Yeah,
yeah, it's such a fraudulent whatever the hell it is
it's a
that it
political organization. Yeah,
yeah it's
it's
it's a
yeah,
yeah it's a political organization. It's it's just not real. It's propped up, it's inflated, it's nothing in between. It's just a whole bunch of hot air. So so for him to do such a thing on his fashion thing, like I said, it's getting the amount of clicks that he needed to draw attention towards him. All right. Also, all right, a lot of Kanye's fans, all right, are Black. A lot of Kanye's fans are white. Okay. A lot of Kanye's fans are from different cultures around the world. So when you wear a Trump hat and when you also have a shirt saying White Lives Matter, well, you're reaching out to your fans as well. All right. Your fans that also feel like White Lives Matter. All right. Um, I would also argue when it comes to buying merch, buying CDs, and all this other stuff, if there was a statistical scale or what have you, a lot of those people that purchase his stuff, purchase it, are probably from the white community, people that go to his shows and all of that. Now, Black people go to his shows too, but what I'm getting at is album sales and all this other stuff. People that actually go out and patronize Kanye West. He's got a lot of white people there. So him reaching out to his white fan base as well isn't a far stretch for me either. And so I'll take it a step further. And this is the one that got a lot of people upset because hell, even when I said people might get upset, but I understand where he's coming from. But when he said that slavery is a choice, he wasn't dogging the ancestors. That's not how I took it. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? You're in slavery right now. And you don't have to be in slavery. You just choose to walk in somebody else's office. All right. You choose to put your punch card in, and you choose to get a salary from these people that don't care about you. You make those choices of your own slavery. You don't have to do that. Now, when he was referring to the ancestors and stuff like that, granted, those were different times. I wasn't there. No one can call that. But what I think what Kanye was getting at that point is that everybody is a modern day slave, more or less, unless they get themselves off the plantation and create something for themselves or do something for themselves where they're not victimized by the system anymore. But if the only thing you're doing is getting on the internet and being a social media warrior, all right, well, at that point, you're not impacting much change as far as the infrastructure of the country, as far as changing how you can help your own people. So I think what Kanye does, like I said, he's on another type of wavelength when it comes to how he's going to ruffle the feathers to get people talking, to create a dialogue for these things, because I think dialogues need to be had. And so is the way that he goes about it clean? Like as you said, no, it's not. But I think that him bringing up such things, it does open up a good enough dialogue space for people who want to actually have a conversation about it, to actually think about this differently than they did before he did this. So now my take may not be popular, but at the same time, uh hell, man, I agree. I don't run around hollering Black Lives Matter, because what the hell is that? I got another layer to this too, but I'll let you go ahead and speak on anything I had to say if you have any new thoughts.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with the vast majority of that. I just think that it would help Kanye reach more people if he wasn't so above clarifying himself sometimes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So like, it's just he feels that he's so far removed from having the responsibility to provide clarity whenever we've gotten to a point of impasse in which people clearly aren't understanding what he's trying to do. And I think that impasse is, I think we reached that point of an impasse currently because no one is addressing it in this manner. They're just saying that he's cleaned himself out essentially because of the shirt that he wore. So and that's the only thing, because I do think that there is a valuable message in that. And I do largely agree with you. I didn't really get up in arms when he made the slavery was a choice argument. And I knew where he was getting at, but I guess people just can't wrap their brains around that particular type of concept, because I guess what most people say is, if I have a choice between doing something and possibly sacrificing my life, then that is inherently not a choice, because who's going to want to choose death? I think that's the way most people consider that when it comes to the whole slavery was a choice thing. And I think what Kanye, and I would put myself in this category as well,
Hmm.
I think what people like Kanye were suggesting with that particular soundbite was, you do have a choice. You just have to be willing to make the choice between releasing yourself from bondage or death. And people just don't, they just can't wrap their minds around that. I think to most people, if it's a choice between death or bondage, that's not a choice, because who wants to die? And I can somewhat understand where it's coming from when they make that suggestion or assertion, but nevertheless, a choice is a choice. Whether one of those options amongst the choices is something that is highly undesirable, as death is. But I just think that Kanye can stand to not be so above clarifying his comments, because Black Lives Matter is a ruse. It is a farce. Um, and I know what he's getting at. I'm not offended when I see somebody wears a shirt that says White Lives Matter, but that's because individually I was never somebody who held on to Black Lives Matter as a slogan. So the majority of the people who hold on to Black Lives Matter as a form of symbolism, those are the ones who are going to get most offended, because when they see White Lives Matter, they believe you're equating the
Right.
plight of Black Lives Matter in that context to white lives.
Right.
And I think you and I respectively don't think that that's what Kanye West is doing. Rather, I think what he's shining a light on is uh, the notion of Black Lives Matter exposes us and our inherent hypocrisies for all of the things that you just brought up. And realistically, you can release yourself from bondage, and you can rise above socioeconomic stressors in today's society, so long as you have the wherewithal and the willingness to commit to doing so. And there is no oppressive system that is going to stop you from doing that. And I largely agree with that, even in 2022. And, a lot of black people are going to have pushback on that because they think that you're just born into adverse circumstances and you have no ability to rise above that. I fundamentally disagree with that. I don't think that is true. There are systemic things that are going on, but I think in 2022, that's not as much the case as it used to be. And, look no further than corporate America, who embrace Black Lives Matter and are offering up scholarships and assistantships and all of these different mechanisms to people from non-white communities to try and rise above that. I think in a roundabout way, Kanye is saying you need to pay attention to this because these are your opportunities, so you need to take advantage of that. I just don't know that strategically wearing that shirt is the best way to go about bringing light to it. Not because what he's suggesting is false, but because people are just not going to perceive it that way. And maybe Kanye has the wide net approach where his thing is, I know I'm not going to get everybody, but I'm going to cast a wide enough net so that I can get some people into the funnel of thinking along those lines so that you can, perhaps free yourself. And I completely anticipate that most people are going to be antagonistic towards what it is that I'm trying to do. Who knows? Like, only Kanye really knows. Only he knows what's in his head. But I do think that if he's challenging the notion of the falsity of Black Lives Matter, I'm on board with that. I've never been comfortable with it. I've always hated it, especially when it became a political organization and they started asking for donations. That's when the buck stops with me. Like, you're not going to convince me that you're out for the goodwill of all disenfranchised people, primarily black people, when you're running around asking for donations and you only do it in the wake of a tragedy. When a black person gets killed by police for extenuating circumstances, you want to start asking for donations because that's when most people are riled up and are willing to put their money where their mouth is. And so you take advantage of that dynamic in order to fund your operation so that you can then go and do questionable things with that money, but not actually impact any actual change. That's why I don't follow these organizations. And I really only respect individuals like LeBron, Maya Moore, Jalen Rose, people like that, people who are actually on the ground freeing people from jail and putting schools in places that provide resources to disenfranchised people. Black Lives Matter is a joke, and it just provides corporations with an opportunity to latch on something to alleviate their guilt. I found it very disgusting, and this is just a side note, and this will probably be the last thing I say on this particular topic. But I found it very disgusting that in the aftermath of George Floyd, you had all of these Fortune 500 corporations all of a sudden donating to the NAACP and to charitable donations in black communities and wanting to give jobs and opportunities to black people and starting these scholarship funds. It grossed me out because it's like, y'all been around for hundreds of years. You've been making all of this money. And now because you see a black person getting killed for 8 minutes, all of a sudden now you know that there's a such thing as inequality. And you can validate your efficacy in that regard by latching on to a statement such as Black Lives Matter, which to me further diminishes the statement because it's basically at that point turned into a political slogan for corporations to latch onto in order to alleviate their guilt because they've been profiteering off of this dynamic since their initial inception. So I think Kanye is addressing a lot of this, ironically. Maybe I'm putting too much into him. I kind of feel like this is a lot of what he is trying to address, which is a lot of why I don't get offended when he brings this up. But I also fully anticipate the masses of people who do believe that that statement does mean something, objecting to some of the strategic moves that Kanye makes. And I think on both sides, I would say people need to calm down and look at the bigger picture. But I would also say that Kanye from time to time can stand to not be so far above clarifying himself because you got a lot of smart people who are amenable to his message, but would otherwise like to gain a better understanding of exactly what it is that he's trying to do. Because I don't think that most people are going to take the time to dissect it in the way that individuals such as you or myself would. And so, I think he could stand to help those folks along. But otherwise, I don't believe that anything that he really does in this regard is particularly abhorrent. I just kind of feel like this is his way of bringing light to some of these hypocrisies in our society. And I definitely feel like more people should listen.
Yeah, well said. And I'll say this. So for Kanye not explaining himself, he is an artist, and he takes, because this White Lives Matter thing is what do you call those things where people do like pop-up art, and they do this, they just a flash whatever.
Mhm.
And so
Like
this, yeah,
flash mobs.
so this was a flash art exhibit, basically. It was a surprise show, and then he's wearing this. This is part of his exhibit. So him explaining how he makes his sausage will ruin the artistic edge that he has whenever he does anything that he does. So him explaining how he takes the rabbit out of the hat, no one's surprised anymore when he pulls a rabbit out of the hat. So this is his artistic edge that he has by staying silent on whenever he does the Trump hat or the whatevers. This what keeps his mystique going and conversations going, and people still entering his name in search engines so they can see
Mhm.
whatever he's up to next. But if he explains his secret sauce, well, everybody knows is pickle juice and ketchup and mustard and this and so everybody knows what he's doing. So why would I search it whenever he's
Mhm.
doing whatever he's doing? So I think that's another reason why he is so tongue in cheek and keeps things close to the vest, because it helps out his brand. Uh, and then I'll say this: this will be my last thing about it. Um, I said this before, I think in the last one, that if you study human history, life is about domination and conquest. And if you look at the various empires that existed in throughout world history, everything was about taking people's villages, killing the men, taking the women, enslaving the kids, all kinds of stuff. And lately, within human history, all right, things have gotten real domesticated. And people think that this is progression. Actually, to me, it's a ruse, because if you walk outside of this country, you're going to see domination and conquest. You're going to see third world countries. You're going to see people that are just down and out. But here in America and other first world countries, they have this sense of, well, we've evolved. We're this, we're that. There's somebody still dominating and conquering you. You may not see them, you may not feel
Yeah.
it, but it's still happening. So a sacrifice, if you don't like the conditions that you're currently living in, all right, whether you're black, white, or whoever, if you don't like the current circumstances that you're living in, then a sacrifice has to be made. There is a machine that's conquering and dominating you. And unless you make a sacrifice, like you said, hey, it's either bondage or death. Most people, like you said, they want to stay alive, so they'll choose bondage and try to find a channel within bondage to where
Mhm.
it's not as bad as the other bondage as the other people are getting.
Yeah. I.e., let me try and get another job where they're paying me $2 more an hour.
There you go.
Like, you're not free just because they're paying you 13 instead of 11 an hour.
There you go. And so if people take the time to actually, view life through a different lens, that hey, yeah, this is just advanced slavery.
Yes.
And then so if the only thing that if you the choice that you have to make is literally sacrificing your 5G, sacrificing your Apple iPhone 14 plus mega,
Yeah.
you got to sacrifice that. You can't have that if you want to see your people free in the streets. Now, are people going to do that, or are they going to run to the store and pay Apple? They're going to run to the store and pay Apple. So I don't listen to those people. There's nothing for them to tell me, because they're not willing to sacrifice whatever it is so they can have the life for themselves and the life that they want for their own people. And so even in the micro sense, if it's just because that was everybody, that was black, white, everybody. If and for the black people that just feel like, hey man, what about us? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, man. There's stores in your neighborhood you don't own. You don't have to go there, right? And there's black people who do own this. There's black people that own that. They're there. If you don't like what they're running, sacrifice something and run something of your own. Create a legacy. This is what has to happen. And if people aren't taking these steps, then there isn't much for them to tell me. For the people that are actually out there making sure that they're having these things and they're providing for their own people and they're doing things to put these channels in place to create the legacies and everything that I spoke of, I don't have an issue with those people. But the majority of people aren't doing that. And those are the loudest people on the internet.
Yep.
So my thing is that I think this is a good topic for people to talk about from a different angle instead of the immediate, you offended me, how dare you, and then shut everything off. I think this is a lot deeper, and if people delved a little bit further than the first initial response, and then probably got a little bit deeper in the layers, um, then they would actually probably see that he may have a point here. Now, I don't care about whatever lives matter because it's what everybody's life matters to me. All right. I'm not around here, with the whatever stuff. Hey man, uh it a life is a life. And so I'm not here for the political aspect of anything. I still love my people, right? Just because I said all of these things doesn't mean I don't love my people. You got to think different. And you can still love your people at the same time and not run around with a hashtag as your life slogan. So, yeah, man. I can keep going on this topic, but
Yeah.
yeah, this was definitely a good one. I'm sure there's going to be more backlash, maybe a deeper response from Kanye, but no doubt Kanye, he's actually, I think he's leading the league in conscious approach topics because
I
the
think
guy
he is.
just this
Yeah,
guy
he's definitely leading it for sure,
he's
man.
batting a
That
thousand
is,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. He is. He definitely hits a home run every time. No, yeah, I concur. We definitely could go on forever, but people just want their messages to be concrete, black and white. Like, we're slowly but surely losing the ability to peel back nuance from certain messages. And even as sensible as this conversation was, you will have a lot of people who will watch this video or listen to the audio or however you consume this, who just are like, you can't be wearing shirts that say white lives matter. It's like they're just so stuck on the imagery of that
Right.
that they can't really get past that point to talk about what the meaning of it could potentially be. It's just, you can't do that. That's completely unacceptable. Excuse me. And so, yeah, I hear all of that. People's hypocrisies. That's a very important thing that you touched on. That needs to be discussed. Um, Sacrifices do need to be made. Um, I started this channel because I hated the content that I was hearing from other people. So I started this channel, sacrificed time, money, energy to do this, and I'm dedicated to it. Despite the audience that we might have it right now, although it's growing, sacrifices must be made in order for you to do what it is that you want to do in life and to secure freedom. Earlier this year, I made a move for myself. That was a big deal. Sacrificed a lot, including my personal independence, because there's a bigger picture in sight. And so people have to be willing to make those sacrifices. And if you feel as though making such a sacrifice is too daunting of a choice for it to actually qualify as a choice, then that might speak to why you might disagree with what a person like Kanye has to say.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well said. Well said.
with that, we'll go ahead and move on. Next up, we are going to talk about
Oh
um,
Lord.
a clip that I got um, apparently we should all be getting used to the idea of everyone having side relationships, side pieces, whether you're married, have a girlfriend, boyfriend, none of that really matters. It's all about everyone being able to do whatever they want, and it should be an expected expectation. It's all good out here in these streets. So
These are some edgy topics you picked today. This shit is edgy, bro. My first one, bro, I probably lost like five followers and something. Like, don't do
yeah,
this to me,
so
man.
yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and roll with this. Reminder, real quick. If you're watching this video on the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the channel, man. We do this every week. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. Please support logical content as we continue to keep rocking and rolling. But without further ado, you can go ahead and hit that, and we will opine on what these ladies had to say once we finish watching it.
You can love somebody and still fuck another. Because I've been in love and fucked another nigga. And it's like, I don't love that. I love you.
When they fuck another, that don't mean nothing. But when a girl fuck another, she like him. She like seeking to potentially be with that other.
If the girl step out on her man, she has to be like emotionally like not even feeling him no more. No,
I ain't got no
I'm a
feelings.
hoe.
I don't got no feelings.
so you telling me you can be in love with a man and go get some outside?
Like,
You
that's
come right back home like, yep.
That's why I can understand a man. I'm being real. Like, I've done it. I've literally another and been like, ew. Like, I was so bad. Like, this wasn't even worth it.
Yeah.
I went home like, baby, I love you so much.
You're like, what was I doing?
Hungry? Let me cook for you. Like, I felt so bad.
But I'm saying y'all be the same girls y'all got. But then if we be like having a side piece, y'all get mad at us.
Who get mad? One of my is married. Do what you do. Because I'm going to do what I do.
So you don't get
I
jealous?
don't know about you, but I'm going to turn out jealous away.
What if you like him a little bit?
I do. I love him, actually.
You don't get jealous when he go home to his wife?
Absolutely not, baby. I will see you tomorrow. I'll be waking him up like, baby, it's 3 o'clock.
As long as he cutting that check.
Baby, go home. Don't get in trouble now. Not because of me. We're going to other regardless. They don't give a fuck. I've accepted that fact.
I think it's an understanding. You just gotta have that understanding with them. Everybody's different. That's not for every.
Wow. This is 2022, bro. We are living in the future, bro.
I know. That's what makes me so nervous about this. I actually live in the city where they make that podcast. So I'm just, it just freaks me out because it's like, that's a small sample size, obviously, because there's a handful of women that were participating in that. But if I were to extrapolate that to the rest of the population, like I think it's reasonable to at least assume that there are a fair amount of women who think like that. But go ahead. What did you and for context, the one who was doing the most of the talking, the one who's in our little things that we got here, right?
Yeah.
That's Diamond the Body.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, that's the Diamond the Body, the chick who said she's been with 2,000 people sexually. Both men and women. That's we talked about her a couple videos ago. She got 2,000 bodies. So at least she's consistent. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so wow. So let me just say this. I'll start with saying this. So, gentlemen, just be careful where you fish at. Be careful what's going on. Okay. These women, okay, they lived too close to a power plant or something. Where there's harsh chemicals floating downstream, and they came out mutated. Not every woman thinks like this. All right, but there is a large population of women. It's a growing population of women who are coming out with these extra fins. And so with this, so if you have one of these new types of women, follow the code she just gave. You're going to get hurt if you're trying to keep her loyal or if you're trying to stay loyal to such a mindset. So you're going to have to know what kind of fish you have. All right. Now, if you have yourself a nice, respectable woman, they come off respectable. All right. They don't have the lace fronts. All right. They don't have pounds of makeup. All right. They don't look like these women looked in the video. I mean, those women, I'm sorry, but I am judging a book by its cover nowadays. And if I see a woman like that, doesn't mean I'm gonna just stray away. Okay. It's just like, oh, okay, you're a fiction book. So I'm gonna put you in the fiction category, and everything that you tell me is fiction. Then you can find the nonfiction women because, well, aesthetically, they come off in a way where they're not trying to look fake because they don't have a whole body full of fake stuff. So they're coming in with a different type of cover. Once you ask questions, read the summary on the back. All right. Read the preface, you know what I'm saying? Skim through, read through a couple chapters. And you say, hey, this one's solid. This is nonfiction. And you put that in the nonfiction category. That's the one that you try to pursue a major relationship with and all this other good stuff. But if they're over here in this fiction category where everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie, is a finesse, it's a whatever, and it's status quo, mainstream, new age, whatever, then tread those waters lightly. Because if you invest too much into that, you are going to get damaged. Because these are damaged women who are seeking to damage other people. So, yeah, so that's my initial thoughts on this. I mean, this is pretty wild stuff. How do you feel about this, bro?
Yeah, so I let me look this up real quick because I'm curious. I'm literally doing this on the spot here.
Diamond the body. I was like, when I looked this clip, I was like, is this that 2000 Bodies girl? Because if it's not her, she's looking and sounding eerily similar. And honestly, and I'm not trying to take food out of her mouth, but we don't need this to be a thing. She does not need to be parading around social media, spreading hoe code and making it sound like it's cool. Because
it is cool, yeah.
Because, like I said, man, the damaged nature in which she views reality, she's really trying to spread that logic and try to make it sound reasonable and cool. But yeah, my bad. What you had to say?
No, I completely get it, man. So it's important to note. You said what is basically the central point of my message here. Not every woman thinks like this. No. So, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I think it's very important let me just talk to men specifically real quick. So it's very important for men to understand what you're getting yourself into when you operate your dating life on the internet. Specifically, when you operate your dating life on social media. When you have made the decision, consciously or subconsciously, that the primary mode by which you're going to meet women is through the use of your device. And I don't give a damn whether you're using that device to meet women on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, OnlyFans, Snapchat. I don't give a damn what the platform is. Please understand that when you've decided that you're going to orient your life with respect to how you meet women through that type of activity, this is what you're going to run into. I also believe that there is a lot of women who don't think this way, who don't live like this. But I do think the majority of the women who are on the internet think like this and behave this way. I don't know. We know who Diamond the Body is. I don't know who any of those other women in that video clip are. But if I had to guess, And we could do some further investigation and do a follow-up video on this. I'm pretty sure at least half of those other women probably got an OnlyFans or probably an Instagram model or something of that nature. So it strikes me as not surprising whatsoever that they would parrot that kind of speech, because when you live your life on these various channels, when essentially you have replaced your living body with that of an interactive avatar, you have no choice but to basically go all in on that. These women are avatars. They're not real people. Okay. They operate life based upon transaction, not upon a connection with an individual. Right. So, like, if you are somebody, man or woman, because you got dudes who are like this too. So if you are a man or a woman, if you are someone who cares about genuine connection, and I don't mean you say it, but in secret, you're actually a transactional person, because you got a lot of posers out here too. You got a lot of people who will walk around saying, I want a genuine connection, but they all in DMs and they're all on OnlyFans and they all over the Instagrams. Okay. Liars, straight up hypocrites. I got no time for people like that. And there's a lot of those too on both sides, men and women. But if you are an individual who truly does care about genuine connection, understand that if you are orienting your mode by which you make connections through your device and on these various channels, you're going to run into these avatars. These women aren't even real. They're not real human beings. Can you imagine what a normal conversation with these kind of chicks is even like? What do you even talk about with them?
Normal?
You know what I mean? Exactly. That's my point right there. That's my point. What are y'all talking about? How many followers you got? Who DM'd you? How many likes you got for your last post?
No, traveling.
The kind of bag that you're gonna get because you're going to collab with somebody. And you know what I mean by collab. So, what do you even talk about with people like this? And so, my concern is there's just people who have kind of gotten lost in the sauce. You got guys who care about genuine connection trying to meet women, not in person, but on their devices. And you got women who care about genuine connection trying to meet men, not in person, but on their devices. And, I've talked oftentimes about social atrophy and whatnot, but this is especially important for men. You have to be able to meet women on your own merit by putting to use your social skills. And you got to take your bumps and bruises. If your social skills aren't good, guess what? You can actually work on them to make them better. But you know what you can't work on? You know what you know what you can't work on? Making a chick who is an avatar, a living avatar, who operates her connections based purely off of transactions into a person who doesn't live that way. You're not going to make that. You're not going to make that happen. You're not going to get them off that hill. They're going to die they're going to draw a line in the sand and they're going to die on that hill, because to them, they're living life the right way. How pompous and proud were they to talk about why women shouldn't be mad that dudes have side chicks? One of the dudes in the video was like, who's mad? You know why she had that kind of response? Because she has side dudes. Because they live this side piece life. And so my thing is, go ahead, do your thing, live your side piece life. But number one, don't come to me perpetrating a fraud, trying to make it seem as though you're only doing this because you haven't found a connection yet. No, you actually like doing this, sir or ma'am. So stop bullshitting. And number two, lean into it. Continue to be a living avatar and be a transaction, a walking transaction. Just don't pollute the waters of those who are looking for the genuine connections. And you have a lot of people who are just so lost in the sauce. They just don't know the difference anymore, because you have people, with one foot in one world and one foot out in the other one. They're kind of walking in both universes at the same time. And this is what creates the confusion. I think for guys, you just have to be able to recognize, these are mutated fish. It's like they were in Chernobyl when the meltdown happened, and they just live their lives this way. Stay far away, and please understand that these are not the only women who can satisfy your desires, who can have the kind of body that you like, who have the kind of facial features, whatever your preferences are. It is not just women on the internet who can meet that. Please understand that there is a whole world out there. So the quicker you get off your phone and stop thinking that everything takes place on social media, on the internet, on the OnlyFans page that you give your hard-earned money to, that you should be putting into actually working on your actual social skills, the better you'll be off for it. And like, again, it applies to women as well, but I think it's a message that's most important for men, because the modern day sexual marketplace is something that has been commandeered primarily by women. Men operate a very small space in that ecosystem. It is mainly women who are dominating those spaces. Number one, because they're visual mediums and women benefit most from visual mediums. And number two, because you got so many men who are just willing to capitulate to this stuff and just give their time, money, energy, and attention to it when they shouldn't be. And so this is the kind of stuff that we can look at and say, hey, man, if this is something that you want to avoid, and it should be something that you want to avoid, this is what you could be getting yourself into if you don't avoid it. So stay far away. That girl that you saw at Panera Bread or at Starbucks, or if you were in the mall buying a gift for your mom's birthday, and you saw the chick who works at some department store or something like that, go talk to those women. If you go out with your buddies on a weekly basis to a bar after work and you're doing your happy hour thing and you see women there, don't ignore those women, but then go home and get on OnlyFans. Like, go talk to those women, bro. There's a chance that you might still run into this foolishness even in those places, because it is a behavior that's becoming so rampant. But you want to position yourself in such a way that you are maximizing your opportunities for success. And you maximize your opportunities for success by doing it the old damn fashioned way, in person, and not living your life on the internet trying to interface with these walking avatars.
Yeah, well said, bro. And if you just look at that room full of women, all right, again, I've gotten to this space where I'm judging books by its cover now. I'm too old to be taking people's word for stuff anymore. If you are telling me on the front cover of whatever book you decided to walk out the house like that. And so on your front cover, it says thought. Well, I'm not going to believe anything that you tell me. Your aesthetics tell me that you're a thought. So, oh no, no, you're just trying to find somebody that believes your lies.
Yeah.
But I'm not. Every woman in that thing didn't look like wife material. Not one of them. I wouldn't marry any one of those women in the room, just off, face value. And so, those women, because they live that lifestyle, they have to wear the uniform of somebody that has that lifestyle. And that's why I was saying, if you see the cover, we're getting in this space right now where people are really choosing hard on their lifestyles. Now, there's still people, like you said, on the fence that's still trying to play people. But there's this group of people who have chosen a hard lane of, I'm living like this. And they tell you, it's on their sleeve, literally. So you don't have to, if you do decide to entertain yourself with that, just know what you're getting yourself into. That's all I'm saying. So if that's your cup of tea, because, hey man, I just want something quick, I want something easy, I'm just trying to then do whatever. Those are the women for it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to have a main chick and then side chicks, those are the women for it. Go do it over there, because everybody's sharing everybody over there. Mm-hmm. So that's that lane. Go over there, y'all have fun. My thing is, when it comes to those people trying to infiltrate people who want to live normal lives and not this weird stuff, that's when I have an issue with this type of stuff. And like I said, man, I didn't have the wool. You can call it wool. I've had situations. They didn't look like this though. They look normal.
Yeah.
And they still tried to play this stuff with me. Mm-hmm. So, my spidey senses have increased since then. All right. So, don't try it, ladies. All right. So, my spidey senses have increased since then. And that's why I'm doing the book by the cover thing, to eliminate immediately certain candidates from me even entertaining certain levels of conversation with them, you know. And so these girls play street ball. They can't, oh, look at her handles, woo, you know, oh, they play street ball. But you know, where I'm trying to aspire to is not only be in a league but win a championship. All right. So having a street baller on my roster is not conducive to me winning a championship. Those skills only work in the street. So you can have your highlights, your whoop-de-doops, and your whatever the hells, but that's all out there with people that aren't in the league. And so when I'm doing my search and I'm out here, it's like, hey, are you a, you know, at least aesthetically, because I gotta shoot first. So what are you shooting at, and where are you shooting at? And that's the important thing. These type of women congregate at certain watering holes. They congregate at certain watering holes, and they're always doing that type of stuff over there. Now, if you go to that watering hole, understand where you're at. All right, you're in the elephant graveyard, so conduct yourself accordingly. Oh, but this one different. Yeah, man, because she ain't dressed like the other ones, and she only out here for her homegirl birthday. Don't fall for it, bro. Do not. They congregate at certain watering holes. All right. There's a woman who is not spending so much time to look like a prostitute. All right. And she's normal. You know, she just wears face moisturizer when she walks out of the house. And you know what I'm saying? She doesn't have the latest whatever on. And she's just going to work and going home. And she's solid when you talk to her. She may be boring, but that's safe. Nowadays, man, they have, and I said this before in another one, man, all of this exciting glitz and glamour that's going on, it's all a facade. And if they're out here with this, you know, oh yeah, girl, I live this life, I do this, I do that, all of this excitement, it eventually gets dangerous over time. And if you look back at successful marriages, you know, they may do stuff, they may travel, they may do this, but it's so safe that it's boring. You know, it just looks like it's so stale, it's so cookie cutter, and that's the money. But if they're out here living a reality TV show lifestyle, you know, where the guy looks like he's a part of a reality show, she looks like she's a part of a reality show, and they're just out here reality showing it up. I wonder how long that's going to last. Is that going to be those 30, 40-year marriages that we grew up seeing? I highly doubt it, because they're only attracted to stimuli, and they need more and more stimuli to keep their relationship interesting. So this is some new age stuff, man. This is new age stuff, and it is gotten to the point where it was crawling before. This is in full blown sprint. I mean, this is a full blown sprint. I mean, now this is turning into a marathon. They're still going. I thought this was just going to be like a trend. I mean, now they're growing wings.
Yeah.
You know? So this is and that's why I'm saying, bro. So when you see this going on in the streets, don't be afraid to judge a book by its cover. You know, oh, would you want somebody to judge you by? I would hope so.
Yeah,
I would hope so, because if I remind them of somebody that did them wrong in the past, they should be cautious when they talk to me.
Yep.
And so and it's on them. After I'm doing whatever I'm doing and saying what I'm saying or living however I'm living, it's on them to actually be like, hey, I want to be with this or I don't. And so it's the same thing goes, man. If I seen this girl, didn't know her from whatever, but if I met her and because we were both interested in one another, and she started the talking. I mean, she's telling you right now, all her code, everything she says is, "Hey, I'm a thought. Hey, I'm a thought. Hey, this is thoughty right here. This is so thoughtish.
Yeah.
I'm a thought. I'm a thought." And it's like, oh, okay, well, you know what I'm saying? I found her at Publix. I thought this was going to be different. I didn't catch her at the club, but she's telling me, and she looks like, you know, somebody who I would meet at a club. So, you know, take it how you however you can, guys. But yeah, man, don't be afraid to judge a book by its cover.
One thing that this new human stuff, where you know, this hyper liberal stuff, like I can do whatever I want. I don't like following rules. I live in, you know, this, and you know, we as a society have accepted that. Like that's the standard now, is let people do whatever they want and still assume that they're good people. And I don't believe in that. But one thing that this universal acceptance hyper liberal culture that we've adopted has been good for, it's people do tell you who they are up front now, because they have so much confidence in what they're doing, because there's less of a culture around chastising what used to otherwise be perceived as unbecoming behavior. So now, because we've done away with that, it's not okay to do this or that, because, you know, then at that point you are, you know, fill in the blank, racist, sexist, fat shaming, homophobic, blah, blah, blah. So now, because we're doing away with all this and we're saying, hey, everybody, be who you want, and it's okay because you're still a great person, even if you're a thought. Like now, you know, it's a good thing in my opinion, because it makes it easier for you to be able to spot these people. Exactly. And then at that point, when you become entangled with it, at that point, it's on you, because this person told you who they were and you elected to do it anyway. At that point, it's on you. No one was fooling you. And so that's the good thing. That's the good thing about it, is now you'll have these chicks showing up to Publix and they got, you know, fishnet, you know, stockings on, or, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Hey man, listen, when a person tells you who they are, believe them. Okay, you got a girl, she might be in the grocery store, but she looks like she's had a BBL. Take that for what it's worth. Like, look, man, they're out here and they're telling you who they are. So you'd best believe them, lest you find yourself, you know, caught up and you become body number 2001. So it is what it is, man. I just like videos like this because it gives you, hey man, listen, this is how prevalent this stuff is. That's a room full of women saying, I'm all about polyamory, I'm all about polygamy, I'm all about side pieces, and you know, in their minds, that's the right way to go about living life. And you know, just recognize the signs.
If it was open where everybody was coming in on the front end discussing these things, then who gives a shit? My issue is the side part of it, the lying part, because a lot of these people get off on the excitement of cheating on somebody.
Right.
And so this and that's the part of it where it's just like, that's why they have to lie to you. So it's just like, hey, just tell me you're dealing with somebody else so I can deal with somebody else. They're not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that rubs me the wrong way with it is the hypocrisy.
Right.
If you surveyed all of those people, all of those women in that room, and asked them, do you want to be married? They'd probably say yes.
The overwhelming majority.
And it's like, no, you don't. Yeah. You don't. But they feel like that's the right thing to say because there's still a shred of traditionalism in them that knows that as a woman, that's something that they should care about. So they're going to blurt it out. It's almost like a reflex. Yeah, I want to be married. Yeah, I care. It's these men. And now we go to blaming the men for their choices. When it's like, no, you don't actually want that. You don't. So I have an issue with the hypocrisy. There's all of these people walking around saying they want this when they don't. Your behavior suggests everything about you. Like, you can't tell me you want that and you're out here in the streets doing the opposite. That's BS. It's bullshit. Who are you trying to fool? Don't tell me you want to be a wife. And conversely, don't tell me you want to be a husband. You don't. I respect you more if you say, no, I don't want those things. I just like hoeing around. Okay, fine. Thanks for letting me know.
Right.
But don't give me this story about how you want the other thing when you really don't want that.
Right.
And them chicks will tell you, they'll be the first ones to be like, yeah, I do want. And then they'll be the first ones to expect the guy to accept them and all their baggage when they've gotten old enough to the point where now they have a sense of urgency and they see their time expiring. And so it's like, well, let me take committed relationships more seriously. And you want a guy to accept that trade-off. No guy's going to accept that trade-off.
Yeah, factual,
it's ridiculous.
Bro.
It's ridiculous. So yeah, dudes, stay away. And for whatever it's worth, ladies, stay away too, damn it.
Yeah, like that goes both ways. There's men out here.
Yeah, it goes both ways. You done been with enough dudes to know when you dealing with a dude that's shiesty. Yet you keep getting with these dudes who's shiesty. That's on you.
Right.
Damn. Sound like a broken record, but they keep doing it. And then they make videos and posts crying, mad at men. No, that was on you. But
all facts, bro.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and move on. Appreciate y'all. We in Miami, Dime in the Body. Shouts out.
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts around the world. Thoughts around the world. Next up, we're going to get into Shannon Sharpe and Antonio Brown. So Shannon Sharpe was on the show Undisputed, him and Skip Bayless. Shannon Sharpe shared his thoughts on what he felt about Antonio Brown and his latest antics. So Antonio Brown has been doing some crazy stuff in typical AB fashion. Right. He's out in Dubai, and so he posted a pic where it looked like he was butt-ass naked in the pool, exposing himself to a woman at the pool. And then he also posted a pic, and this, we'll get into it, but he posted a pic of him hugging Gisele Bündchen. And the reason why that is kind of getting talked about a lot is because Gisele Bündchen is married to Tom Brady, who used to be a teammate of Antonio Brown's on the Bucks. And reportedly their marriage is not doing so well because of Brady's decision to come out of retirement to continue playing football. Gisele is not happy about that. Allegedly, the marriage is now kind of on shaky ground. And there's some news that broke within the last 24 hours that Gisele has hired divorce attorneys. Ooh. That has been reported by credible news sources, so I feel comfortable saying that on this channel. But so it's not at the moment. It is looking as though things are kind of iffy, and so Antonio Brown at this moment goes ahead and posts this pic on his Instagram of him hugging Gisele Bündchen, and Shannon Sharpe went off on AB in relation to that. So we'll talk about what Shannon Sharpe had to say, and then we'll react to this particular story.
AB is a clown, and he's been a clown for the longest. He's done in the NFL. Nobody's going to waste their time. And last night took the cake for me. I'm done. Everybody should be done. After he posted Tom Brady's wife and said what he said, that man took your ass in. That man revived your career. Nobody was going to give you a chance. And you take a shot at this man's wife. You do that, AB? I thought you at home. Because every time someone try to correct AB, all y'all do is like, hey, let that man live. Let that man do this. Let that man do that. And that man is harming himself. And instead of somebody saying, you know what, Shannon, you're right. I wish somebody would get with AB and tell AB to slow it down. I don't want you to tell me what I need to hear. Tell me what I need to know. Tell me what can help me become a better man, a better person, a better player. As opposed to like, get egging the man on. The man naked, got his ass in somebody's face, taking his time off. And they said, yeah, AB. You see this? Instead of saying, AB, I mean, me personally, you in Dubai. You lucky they throw his ass in jail.
Yeah, right.
That's what I would do with my homeboy. I ain't got no homeboy, bro. Hey, we gone. Because I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not going to jail. And people at home, I want y'all to stop this. When a black person is trying to correct another black person, stop talking this bull jive about somebody trying to bring them down. Y'all want people just let bull jive go.
Bull jive.
No.
Oh man, Shannon.
So yeah, man. Shannon Sharpe went in, man. He's been an AB detractor for a while, and rightfully so. Some would argue because AB's kind of become more and more unhinged. as time has gone along. But yeah, Shannon Sharpe talked about black people making excuses for black people and all of this kind of stuff. So what did you have to say? What were your initial thoughts on Shannon Sharpe's comments?
Didn't disagree with anything he said. I felt like he was on point. I feel like but I also feel like Antonio Brown he's so far gone. He's somewhere else. You can't. There's no reining that in. That guy is on another planet. So the only thing that will calm him down is like meds and a straitjacket. Everything else, yeah, bro. Everything else, any other form of intervention, I think he's so far gone from therapy. I think he's so far gone from a lot of stuff. You're not gonna rein this behavior in. This guy is just somewhere else. And this post that he made of Tom Brady's wife, to me, that was the one where I was like, oh, he crazy.
Yeah.
He crazy. Like all the other stuff he was doing before, I was like, Antonio Brown, he a little off, oh, that was a little off, but hey, whatever. But this, if you look at this on the surface, this is so disrespectful, bro. Like this is like next level for no reason, like out of left field.
Yeah, what prompted
disrespect.
it?
Yeah, this left field disrespect. And for him to do that for his only advocate, who he'll do this to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, like I feel sorry for him. I get laughs out of this. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Whenever Antonio Brown makes a headline and nobody's injured or anything crazy, I'm gonna get a chuckle out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so but then there's the backside of this where I go, well, this guy's a crazy person. So how much laughing can I do when this guy's not well?
Yeah.
So I don't know. How do you feel about this? Do you agree with Shannon, or how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I agree with Shannon on most accounts. AB is unhinged.
Yeah,
he's unhinged. Yeah, it speaks to him being mentally compromised. And people have suggested CTE. I don't know. It's worth suggesting, I guess, because he used to take some hits. The Vontaze Burfict thing, several others. Like, when AB was in his prime, particularly with the Steelers, he was getting knocked around. So I don't think it's beyond the pale to suggest that there might be some, cerebral degenerative issue going on with him, because this type of behavior is just, it's unhinged, and it's unhinged with no cause.
Yeah.
Like no one's doing anything to him. He's just, he's offering himself up. I did want to say though, because you usually make parallels like this, so I thought it was worth mentioning. He's trying to be a rapper, and he's got some single out. So, AB, I think if there's anything we can agree on, given his actions in the past and his general behavior, Antonio Brown is probably not above doing anything to bring attention to any project that he's working on. So he could be doing all of this solely for the purposes of trying to get people to see what it is that he has going on, and maybe listen to some of his singles or something like that, listen to some of his music or whatever. I'm just throwing that carrot out there. I don't know that to be a fact either, but I do think that he's unhinged. He's become a menace. He's a menace. The thing with him is, and this is my bigger societal observation, with the whole post that he put with Tom Brady's wife. Like, is that disrespectful? Absolutely. That is 100% crossing the line. Even though people like Antonio Brown don't see lines. People like Antonio Brown, there is no line to cross because lines don't exist.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, to reasonable people, you cross the line. But and this takes me back to the point that I was making in the previous topic that we did. Lines in our culture are becoming more and more blurry, and eventually they're no longer going to exist. We're trying to get to a point where you know, being sexually promiscuous with multiple partners and doing all of this other stuff is not only socially acceptable but gratifying, glorified, even, where not only are we saying we accept the fact that this is around, we're getting to a point where we're saying, hey, everyone should be doing this stuff. Like, that's where we're sort of progressing towards. And so, when it comes to the sanctity of relationships and respect for that kind of thing, the lines are getting blurred in the same kind of way, where we're getting to a point where we're just starting to say, yeah, I'll post a pic with another dude's wife. Why? Because why not? And like, what better time to do it than during a time in which there is speculation that their relationship is on the rocks. And I feel emboldened to do this because, the culture that I exist in has emboldened me to be comfortable enough to put out such messaging because, hey, everybody for everybody out here. Mm-hmm. So let me post a pic with Tom Brady's wife. Let me do that because why not? Why should I respect any of this? For what? Mm-hmm. We're getting to a point where those lines are just so blurry, there's no need to respect it. And so I think there's a part of that that's going on with him. He doesn't see lines, therefore there's nothing for him to cross because lines don't exist. And it's like, again, my culture is telling me that I can do this because why not? We got, side piece this and cheating that and divorce rates and all of this kind of stuff, and no one cares about any of it. So why should I care? Mm-hmm. And I do think that Tom Brady is someone who feels some type of way and cares about it because Tom Brady is an actual human man and not a walking avatar like the rest of these zombies out here. Tom Brady is a man of respect and principle, so he probably feels the same type of way about that I would feel in all likelihood. But does an individual like Antonio Brown care about that? No. And he doesn't care in part because he is mentally unhinged, but he also doesn't care, number two, because he's living in a society that says that type of behavior is acceptable because everybody's for everybody out here. And so we need to be cautious about stuff like that. That shit is dangerous. Now, to a person like Tom Brady, he probably, Tom Brady gonna do his thing. Tom Brady ain't threatened by no Antonio Brown. And I'm not trying to suggest that this could affect whatever is going on between him and his wife or whatever the case may be. I'm strictly looking at it from the AB standpoint. And I'm saying I'm projecting myself into his position. And I'm saying that a lot of his motivation to act this way is because of some of the societal norms that we have deemed permissible. And I don't think all of it is good. Quite frankly, I think a lot of it is bad. Not all rules and standards are bad. Like, there are certain things that we can stand to evaluate as time progresses and say, this type of thing is antiquated, so maybe we shouldn't care about doing that so much. But there are certain things that we cling to socially, culturally, that make sense, that don't need to go away. And decorum and respect for other people's spouses and partners in relationships and significant others. I do think that that's something that should stick around. I don't think that stuff completely doesn't make sense, but we're trying to just deconstruct it all and create cultural anarchy. And Antonio Brown today is a result of said cultural anarchy.
Yeah, agreed. And I say that for AB, like I said, man, the guy is just, I wouldn't want to hang out. You can't hang out with this guy. I don't know. No, if he did this, you can't hang out with him. There's nothing you can do with him because he'll turn on you. It's just that easy. At drop of a dime, whatever, there's people who are crazy because they're on drugs, and then there's Antonio Brown. I don't think Antonio Brown does drugs. I mean, he may, but I don't think these are drug-induced situations. I think the guy's just out of his mind.
Yeah. Yes.
I was telling somebody this the other day. What made Antonio Brown so good as a football player is he's crazy. Like there's times where, let's say that somebody's standing on, the edge of a building. It's a 100-story building, and it's you and Antonio Brown. And then so the challenge is to go as furthest to the ledge as you possibly can. And once you take a certain amount of steps and you push yourself and you challenge yourself and you go, this is as far as the wind's blowing, this is the farthest I can go. Antonio Brown keeps going.
Yeah.
And he'll stand all the way, toes curled over the edge, because he's the type of person where he has that extra gear of, I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's running across the middle, there's other receivers who tense up because, hey, the wind's blowing, I'm 100 feet in the air, I might fall over and die. Antonio Brown's like, where's the ball? I don't care who's in the middle. And he's just grabbing it, and he doesn't care what kind of hit he takes because he's willing to die for it. And there's people who are good at what they do. There's people who are good at what they do, and then there's people that's willing to die for what they do. And Antonio Brown, while he played football with a reckless abandon that other people were afraid to play with. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the strongest. He didn't run the best routes. He just was going to get open on you, though, because he's crazy. He'll get off the route because he's so damn crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll run this. Are you going that way? And he's going the other direction, and now he's wide open. Wow, what made him think of that? How was he able to do that? Because he's crazy, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You take that mentality off the football field and you release him to the public, he's going to start doing that type of behavior in a Dubai pool. You showing that I didn't even think of that angle. Boy, you in Dubai. Them people don't play in other countries, man. I've heard some of the rules that they have of being driving in a car and other things. You out here dropping your ass in a public pool and shoving it in people's face. Yeah, he is lucky he didn't get roped off for that. Some Brittany Griner stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but is he going to think? No, this guy is past thinking. When you hear his interviews, he's not even putting together.
It's completely incoherent. Yeah, it's completely incoherent. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not putting sentences together. Yeah, it's incoherent. And I'm sitting here I saw one interview. This guy was really gassing him up. I feel like you've been getting a raw deal. A raw deal where? Who's giving him a raw deal? Who's giving Antonio Brown a raw deal?
He's misunderstood.
Oh no! Don't get
that's
me
what that. I'm just saying that's the angle they play up.
Yeah,
he's misunderstood.
Now, see, in the first topic when we were talking about Kanye, he's really misunderstood. And Kanye's fringe too now. He looks crazy his damn self, right? But at the same time, I really think Kanye's a really misunderstood guy, and he plays into his misunderstandings.
He does on purpose. Yeah,
he plays into that. But Antonio Brown, this is a whole different gear. And this is what I'm saying, bro. I don't know what can help him, but a therapist, he's beyond that to me. I mean, a therapist, he can have the best. He can go, day after day, week after week. And then, a month to whatever later, he'll tell the therapist what he did last night. And the therapist gonna be like, I thought we were making progress. You're not going to make progress with this, man. It's over. I'm sorry. I don't give up on people, but this post here, and the caption said, "Put that shit on." That's the name. Like you said, I didn't even think of that, but he's advertising his song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I personally think, and this is what I thought, and this is why I thought it was hilarious, because whenever he started getting into music, I said, he's so crazy that he's going to force people to hear a song of his one day. You're going to hear an Antonio Brown song on the radio as a mainstream hit one day. Mark my words on that. Why? Because he's out of his mind. That's why. And so that same logic of him curling his toes over the edge of that building, he's doing this to music now. And so, yeah, pushing the envelope as far as it can go. And just so he can be successful. But that's what this world rewards. That's what this social media world rewards, is people who are fringe, on the edge, and crazy. A lot of people have that persona. This is this man's lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I hope if he's just doing stuff, I hope he just does stuff to offend people. I hope he doesn't get into the violent, crazy, really crazy category. I hope he just keeps this above board and just be disrespectful and rude and whatever. But I hope this doesn't get into the violent area or anything else where it's just like, well, that's a crazy person. So you surprised he did that? So hopefully he doesn't go over there. But unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised if a headline came out where he did something violent or crazy.
Or got himself hurt. That's what I think.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Himself. Yeah.
That's what I think is a possible outcome, that something can happen. The only thing that I think could help steer him straight is if there's a tragedy. And I hate to say it because it's morbid to suggest that one needs tragedy in order to kind of scare them straight or scare them straight. But I kind of feel like that would be the only thing that would, steer him straight, is some kind of a major tragedy that would force him to reevaluate how he's done things. Otherwise, though, he's just become a menace, and he's become unhinged. And I kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I think a lot of this is a result of the way our culture has decided that certain forms of depraved behavior are now permissible. I think Antonio Brown, at least in small part, is a result of that. And that is the bigger message to the rest of us who really need to become more principled and learn how to stop glorifying foolishness. And to that extent, I think Shannon Sharpe had a point. And, I could get into what he was getting at in terms of, the intra-racial way that we as Black people do tend to permit certain types of behavior, because the idea is if anyone is chastising Antonio Brown, it's an indication that you're not down for the cause. I hate that shit with a passion. Yeah. Like I hate that shit with a passion. And we do that to each other. We don't, no other group of people does that. We only do that to one another, and we don't even do it to other groups of people. We just do it to ourselves. It's ridiculous. And that can be its own video in and of itself. But I do think that particular dynamic is a part of the overall pot of the way that we at times decide that certain things that do need to be called out in a certain way in which a person is going to be held accountable, depending on the circumstance, will decide that this is now permissible. And I think Antonio Brown is emboldened by that. And at least in small part it provides him with motivation to do stuff like this. Like that Giselle Bundchen thing is crossing the line. It doesn't get more crossing the line than that.
If this was a random dude that he did this to their wife when they were going through it, I wouldn't care. I would have been laughing my ass off. But for him to do it to Tom Brady, I don't care. I have nothing invested in him or his marriage. Right. But for him to do that for somebody that does so much for you, that's the part where I was like, oh yeah, you've crossed the line, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crossing a major line.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I don't really think it's okay to do it in even if it's not Tom Brady. Like
for sure.
Like you shouldn't feel so comfortable to post. You got how many millions of followers? You shouldn't feel so comfortable as to post a pic of you hugging the wife of a guy you used to be close to.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying. Whose relationship is at a rocky state. You shouldn't feel comfortable doing that, whether it's Tom Brady or your friend who's an accountant at a law firm. Like it shouldn't matter. Like that, there should be something in your brain that says perhaps that's going too far.
Yeah.
And for an unhinged person who is emboldened by a culture that says there's no such thing as line crossing, we can all be habitual line steppers now. You know, there was that the Rick James thing with Charlie Murphy on Chappelle's show, where Charlie Murphy was talking about how Rick James was a habitual line stepper.
I gotta use
Like
that line.
Antonio Brown is a habitual line stepper.
For sure.
And it's like, bro, we don't need that going on out here. And even if he does do it, it should be acceptable for people to say, bro, you shouldn't do that. Like, you're crossing the line. And as opposed to people gassing it up, you know, for their own entertainment. And I think you said this in a video that we did some time ago. The worst part about that particular angle is, God forbid, if something bad happens to Antonio Brown, like, all of these people who relish in this type of stuff are going to be able to move on and find the next person to sort of relish in their abject misery, because, okay, we extracted everything that we could out of Antonio Brown, so let's move on to the next person to sort of extract from, like a vampire. And you know, those people, they owe you nothing, they do nothing for you. So you really shouldn't be out here trying to placate to the whims of whatever it is that they want, so that they can get their cathartic release, because they see you out here unhinged. And it's like, an individual like Antonio Brown is not necessarily going to receive that message, but somebody else who is susceptible to that kind of behavior, maybe they can get the picture that this just ain't the way to go about doing things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree, man. And that's the part about it that's sad, because he is a human being at the end of the day. And his antics, to me, is his suffering. And I don't know who he can possibly really have, like, really close to him at this point, when he's done all the stuff that he's done, just burning bridges and, just all kinds of reckless behavior. And like I said, I personally could not hang out with this guy. I wouldn't want him to have my phone number. I wouldn't want to be around this guy, period. And he hasn't hit any wall yet. Apparently he still has some level of money. I don't want to see him when he doesn't have any money.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, he's acting like that because he's got, no, I mean, you hear about it because he's got money. And so he's doing stuff, like being in Dubai and, literally showing his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but if this guy didn't have money, I don't know what he would be really doing, and how wild he really, I think the money pacifies him. It's crazy. That's what I'm getting at. A therapist ain't helping him, but I think money is.
Oh yeah.
And so I just wish him the best, bro. Overall in life, I really do, man. Because it's sad, but I still get when he came out with the whole Himothy stuff, and he was out here making me. I was like, what? And I'm listening to the song, and there's mumble rap, and then there's what Antonio Brown does. Okay, I don't know what the hell Antonio Brown is saying. All right, he did have one though. I did think it was funny and kind of catchy. All right, but overall, yeah, man, I just wish him the best. Yeah, I was upset with him, but just like how Shannon said, like I said, I don't give up on people. I extend. And now I gave up on him playing football a long time ago. But I still felt like there was some room for rehabilitation somewhere down the line. But these last few events, I just really think he's off the deep end, and he's those people that are in psych wards.
Yeah.
He's that guy. He just played football for over a decade, and everybody knows his name. And if he sobered up, right, he wasn't on liquor or whatever type of drugs he does, and you sat down and talked to him, he's still crazy. And even if he's on his drugs, he might string together very logical stuff. All right. But people have to understand that insane doesn't mean stupid. So Antonio Brown could say some stuff where he's like, "Oh wow, that's pretty sharp. I didn't know you read that book, or I didn't know you thought that way, but that's pretty sharp." And it's like, yeah, this is part of a sociopath's persona, is to be smart enough to get away with whatever the hell that they're trying to get away with, or just be smart enough to fool people so they can get away with something, later. And so I've heard him say stuff. I said most of his stuff is incoherent, but in some of his incoherent dribble, all right, I've also heard him say stuff. I was like, well, that's a pretty smart angle. But if you talk to a guy under a bridge who's hooked on heroin, right, and you start having a conversation with him, he's going to say some sharp stuff too. All right. So
Yeah,
you can't,
from time to time. Yeah.
yeah, from time to time, right? So you can't be too surprised, or you can't be like, oh, well, there's something in there where you can, yeah, nah, this guy belongs in a psych ward. He's just not in one. And so, yeah, man, feel bad for him. Tom Brady, I'll give you this angle. All right. Tom Brady was an enabler for him. All right. People could say he was looking out for him. No, he was an enabler. Tom Brady wanted another Super Bowl. Tom Brady played against the Steelers all the time, and he saw Antonio Brown flying down the field every time he played him. And he said, I wish I had that on my team. And then when Antonio Brown got into his crap, Tom Brady said, now I can finally have Antonio Brown. I can finally have Antonio Brown. Hey, bring him over here. Bring him over here. Everybody, the Patriots was like, Antonio Brown. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And Tom Brady's like, bring him here. That's enabling. I don't care what the man does. Bring him here. I want to win a Super Bowl. I want more stats. I want this. I want that. All right. So he has an incident while he's with the Patriots. So now he's over at the Buccaneers. I still want Antonio Brown. Bring him over here. Bring him over here. Blah, 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 blah. He's enabling. And so and I had this analogy from exes or girls I used to talk to in the street. You know what I'm saying? And they seemed wounded, but I still felt like I could bring them in. And but the analogy I use is like a dog that's been abused before, and it doesn't matter what you do to try to rehabilitate, show love, and whatever. If you reach in to pet it one time, it's gonna have flashbacks. And it's gonna bite your hand, and it's probably gonna attack you or something else. And you're trying to figure out like how or why would this dog do that? This dog is traumatized. It's over for this thing. It's hurt. It's too hurt. And Antonio Brown is a hurt human. And so there is no level of trying to bring him in. He's just going to hurt you. So I feel like Tom Brady was when the league tried to punish him and teams were trying to punish him, Tom Brady, for good reason too. Tom Brady said no, and he enabled his behavior. And so this is what happens when you enable somebody who you shouldn't have. They end up turning on you. And while Tom Brady is having probably one of the lowest moments of his entire life, Antonio Brown finds no pity in making fun of it to promote his album. And just so he can be on the tip of everybody's tongues like Kanye was. So, yeah, man, just a word to the wise, man. And if there is people out there that you do know, and it's like, man, this person's kind of injured, I think they need some therapy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they do need therapy, and you keep yourself at a distance and let somebody else help them. Because if you try to bring them in and try to do whatever. Now, there's people that fell on rough times, and then there's hurt people. And those hurt people are going to find somebody to hurt. And if you're the closest in proximity, they're going to take that frustration out on you. And so nobody else in the league got as close to Antonio Brown and Tom Brady. And then look what happened. So one angle can be that he looked out for him. The other is that he enabled him. In either case, Antonio Brown's a hurt dude, and this is what hurt people do. So I wish him the best, man. Both Tom Brady and Antonio Brown, especially. You know.
Yeah. I hear all of that. I just think until we decide that as a culture, it's okay with maintaining certain barriers and standards and lines, people are just going to continue to test the limits of those lines. And I don't necessarily think it's the best thing in the world that we just have a whole society of people out here who are just habitual line steppers who don't care. I don't
gotta
know
use
how
that
good I don't know how good a thing that is. But at any rate, good luck to AB. Great content, good video. Shouts out to Shannon Sharpe.
one.
I'm with Team Shay Shay on that. So,
Yeah, for sure.
with that note, man, another conscious approach video is in the books, man. We're gonna go ahead and close it out. As I like to always say, continue to support logical content. Follow the channel. Hit the subscribe button so that you can get notification for all new content that gets published onto the channel. Hit the like button. Comment on this video. We do pay attention and we do respond to comments. If you're watching this video on the Meta page, like the video, like the page, follow the page, share the video, share this video wherever you see it, comment on this video wherever you see it. It is always much appreciated as we continue to grow this community. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS, and you can also follow the Constant Approach page on Instagram at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. Check out the website because all the content is also on the website as well, constantapproach.com. So wherever you are, however you are, if you're watching this video on stream or if you're watching this video as its own standalone video clip, I certainly appreciate you for supporting logical content.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS or on YouTube at Dogon SS. Also, I have a college football channel for anybody who's interested in the Miami Hurricanes or college football in general. That is the Hurricane Dogon channel. All right. And yeah, I launched a new series on Instagram. At least I'm going to have a channel featuring all the videos that I do make on Instagram, but the channel is the Dogon News Network. So once that channel gets up and running, we'll just be covering topics pretty much on a daily kind of basis, where anything that's going on, I'll just give my little 2 cents. It's satirical stuff, so if you guys like comedy, that's where you can find stuff over there on the Dogon News Network. And yeah, so but as JV Wynn said, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe over him. Much appreciated for all the new people and all the old people that's been here since day one. We really appreciate you guys, like 100. You know what I mean? All right. And like I always say in every pod, man, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it even kill, keep it calm, keep it chill, and keep it player. All right. Because if you are keeping it calm, chill, and player, all right, you would not be doing what Kanye did. All right. You would not be doing what those girls did on that panel. And you damn sure would not be doing what Antonio Brown has been doing. Okay. So make sure you guys keep it calm and chill, man. And until next time, guys, I'll holla. You know what I mean?
Yeah. With that note, man, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Appreciate you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Peace.